Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. My name is Riris Rihadatul Aisy. I am from the representation class, and in this special occasion, I would like to present about the result of my study titled Students' Perceptions to the Effectiveness of Anime as Japan's Cultural Diplomacy to Increase its Tourism. Now let's go to the outline of my presentation. First, we have introduction. Second, literature review. Third, research method. Fourth, results. Fifth, discussion. And last, we have conclusion. Now we are go to the introduction. So everyone, we know that anime has become popular nowadays. We know several famous titles like Haikyuu, like One Piece, Gintama, and so many more. But do you know that the very first anime was created in the 1917? It is created by Oten Shimokawa, Seitaro Kitayama, and Juniichi Koichi. At first, they were inspired by the Disney, it is American cartoon, and then they tried to make their own animation, but with their own art style and their own characteristics. Time has passed. Finally, anime started to be popular between the 1960 until the 1970. And in the 1990, Japan started to use like better technology to produce anime, and Japan tried to distribute the anime to the international environment. In this era, right now, Japan has more than 430 studios that can produce anime with a lot of genre. And seeing this huge potential, finally Japan made anime as one of their cultural diplomacy instruments. However, let's go to see the history. So Japan already used cultural diplomacy to improve its reputation after the World War II. So in that era, in the World War II era, Japan has colonialized a lot of country and also Indonesia. And because of that, Japan has a good reputation. And for the anime, Japan started to use anime as their instrument in 2006. The policy was proposed by the Council of Movement of People Across the Border. Now let's go to the literature review. So in the literature review, at first we need to know about what is cultural diplomacy. So cultural diplomacy, according to Kessler, it is one of public policies that try to use the domestic element that represent their culture and try to have some interaction with the other country using the cultural aspect. And for the cultural diplomacy, it is one of like categorized as soft power. So soft power itself, it is like the ability of a state to influence the other states without use of violence and enforcement. Instead, they are using more peaceful ways, such like by using negotiations or the other instruments, such like cultural diplomacy. Now let's see about the definition about the anime. According to Mac Williams, anime is animation that comes from Japan or made by Japanese people. The next one is about the importance of anime in Japanese cultural diplomacy. So according to Matsui, anime has important position in Japan's cultural diplomacy. So why is that important? Because anime, it can draw more attention than the other cultural aspect. Like honestly, Japan has a lot of cultures such like kabuki and flower arrangement and so many more, but in the end, Japan used the anime. Moreover, for tourism sectors, Japan has Visit Japan campaign. It is a policy. And for the very first step of this policy, Japan used Pafi Ami Yumi. So Pafi Ami Yumi, it is like a pop duo from Japan. And when they use it as instrument, they make it into a cartoon, and they try to air the Buffy Ami cartoon version in the Cartoon Network and United States of America. And surprisingly, it can gain a lot of fans from that. And now we are moving to the research method of this study. So the study used quantitative case study design with the questionnaire. For the questionnaire, the respondents were the Indonesian students in the second semester student, fourth semester student, sixth semester student, and eighth semester student. And the questionnaire was made by the author, consists of 6 basic questions and 4 main questions. All of the questions are the questions that related to anime and their ability to visit Japan after they watch the anime. And for the question, the responses of the question was collected using the level agreement scale. This is for the main questions. When 1 is for strongly disagree and 5 is for strongly agree. And for the basic questions, the other use like the yes or no questions. And in this study, there are 55 respondents of the questionnaire that comes from Indonesian college students, and there is no specific measure of the respondent that filled the questionnaire. And the last point about is the questionnaire can be accessed online on Google Form and distributed through the WhatsApp. So before the author distribute the link of Google Form, the author try to make sure that the respondent is who knows about anime and who love to watch anime. And let's see the result for the basic questions. So the first is about the university. So the majority of the respondents comes from Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta and Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia. This is about 14.4%. And then followed by the Universitas 11 Maret students, about 12.7%. And about the semester, the majority comes from the fourth semester student, about 61.8%, and followed by the second semester students, about 21.8%. And the basic questions like, do you know anime and do you watch anime? The majority say yes to this question. And about the amount of anime that they already watch, the majority already watch less than 20 titles of anime. This is about 41.8%, and followed by the respondents who already watch more than 40 titles. This is about 34.5%. And the last questions of basic questions about the most watched genre. The majority love to watch action genre, about 30.9%, followed by the adventure, about 16.4%, and the romance genre, about 12.7%. And let's go to the result of the main questions. So honestly, for the main questions, this is the first question, this is the second question, the third, and this is the last question. So the first question about anime is interesting content that contains some information regarding Japan. About this question, more than 30 respondents agree with this statement. And for the second one is about anime indirectly show up a lot of interesting places in Japan. For this question, about more than 25 respondents, they are agree with this statement. And for the third question, that anime could give some influence on interest to come to Japan. For this statement, about 30 respondents agreed with this statement. And for the last, the statement that after watch a lot anime and saw the visualization of Japan that showed in the anime, interest to come to Japan become bigger. And for this, more than 25 respondents agree with this statement. So the result of the main question, it is shown to us that Japan already succeeds spreading the information about their country by using anime, whether it is information about culture, social aspect, historical stories, or interesting places and destinations to visit. And also, the result described that Japan could promote and visualize their country so well, visualize the beauty of its country by using like an unexpected way in animation. And this result also show us that by receiving some information and being indirectly persuaded by something that we usually see in our daily life, Sooner or later, the desires will grow up until finally the anime watchers they will decide that they will have an actual visit and be a tourist in Japan. So after that, let's go to the next point of the study about the discussion. So this study shows that from the student's perception, anime is viewed as interesting content that can influence people to visit Japan. So interesting content is just like content that is interesting to watch and contains some informations like the other mentioned before in the result contains some information about culture, history, or destinations. And it is can influence people because they already being visual. They already being like get some visualization about Japan and some info about Japan, so they can imagine about oh this is Japan, so they can be influenced by that. And also, the other finds a match result from the previous study that shows anime fans come to Japan to have some interaction with the others anime fans or otaku. So, moreover, from those interactions, those anime fans they are hoping that they can travel together to some various places or some new destination that they already watched before in the anime. Meanwhile, the other studies say that the desires of people who visit Japan are affected by national branding of Japan. So in this point, anime has an important role. Why? Because anime can be the media that can promote and introduce the image of Japan to the global citizens, or this target is for the anime watchers. And finally, we come to the conclusion of this study. So, from this study, we can conclude that anime has a significant role in Japan's cultural diplomacy to increase their tourism sector. Anime itself, it is the animation that comes from Japan as one, and anime is one of Japanese cultural products that have been developed after the World War II ended. The study shows that the students' perceptions of the effectiveness of anime as Japan's cultural diplomacy to increase its tourism is that the students agree that anime was effective to increase Japan's tourism sector. Furthermore, the study will be useful for the academians and for the government to be used as an example or source of inspiration. So the other hoping that the anime or the Japan it is can make the other government realize that honestly they can use their own resources, they can use their own power to introduce their country to the other people or to the international citizens. So I think that's all that the other can deliver. Thank you for joining my discussion. See you in the next occasion. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.